By the way, greetings from Germany. I would just say Guten Tag, Marcus, or maybe Guten Abend at this point in the man. I feel like we're just one big happy family right now, hanging out, right?
All right, welcome to DevCentral Connects. This is episode number 4 already?
This is number 4, man. The Quattro for those that speak Espanol, Jason. And I love that you're hanging out with Jerry Seinfeld and the Kramer, Cosmo Kramer. Is that right? Is that the living room that you're sitting in today?
It is. Jerry himself said, I would love to have you over in this time of social distancing. Please come hang out in my living room with me, but I won't be there.
It looks like, I was going to say, it looks like you're the only one there, so that's good. You're practicing, the normal social distance. That's
I'm doing my best. But yeah, nice. So Patrick, I don't know if Patrick's on today, but he said my living room was pretty nice, and so I thought maybe we'll cycle some different living rooms here. But Hey, we got a good show for you today. We're going to talk about SSL, but before we get to that, today is Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and here at F5 they're having an entire virtual day, and so in honor of that, I'm going to bring 2 of my kids on. They all couldn't be with us today, but Andrew and Emma.
Look at that, man. All the ROMs representing today.
And Emma is my big F5 swag girl. She likes to bring all of my like F5 stuff when I go to. She's like, Dad, can I have those? Dad, no, I really want that. So she's rocking all the F5 swag at F5 Virtual Day. Emma, what's your favorite activity you've done today so far at F5 Virtual Workday?
Definitely storytelling. I'm super excited about that. I've already done the 1, but I get to do part 2 later today, and I'm preparing a sales pitch. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. Give us just a hint, Miss Emma. What are you going to try to sell this afternoon?
I am selling a 1 hour a day time of going outside. So.
Oh, nice. You know what?
I can do that for free.
Well,
that better be a good sales pitch.
I think is the sell on that though, that you're gonna encourage people to do that. You're gonna tell them how beneficial it is to go outside for an hour. So hey, don't sit at your computer all day long. At least take an hour, right?
Yep.
So I love it, man. I love it.
All right. So Andrew is my mini me. It's like he's in birth order. He's like number 4. So I figure like my genes perfected their craft over the course of my children. And so Andrew, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Nice. How's your F5 experience been today? Who was your favorite host in any of your sessions so far?
Okay, so I had a lot of great teachers, but probably my favorite so far has been Mrs. Body, because she elevated me and because she knew me. So apparently I featured in a lot of your meetings for some reason. Probably because you stick your head in my office all the time, even when I have a meeting sign up. All right, well, I know you guys are in the middle of your sessions, so we're going to let you guys go. Thanks for coming here to be part of F5 Bring Your Kid to Work Day. Enjoy the rest of your sessions, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming to F5. ROM kids, man. Looking good. Emma rocking those shades and the hat and the whole thing, man. I love it. All
right, so we got some comments out here. We got Dilip Kumar. Let's get started. Absolutely. We're getting moving. And hey, Jason and John from Grown Up Shinchan. Hi all. Hello back to you. And nice. All right. So I saw my daughters. So we've been sharing as part of this Bring Your Kid to Work Day. They're having a thing to where if you share out your pictures, maybe that an in-house artist is going to sketch you up. So I've been posting that stuff. And
nice.
Yep, that's right, Tony. He is my mini me for sure.
When I was looking at the screen a second ago, you were on the top, and then Andrew was just below you, and I was just like, wait a minute, that's big Jason, little Jason, old Jason, young Jason. Nice.
That's right. Akash, hello, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good to see everybody out there today.
All right, so we do have an SSL question in here, but we'll queue that up a little bit later. John, how's life going for you in this pandemic?
You know what? I'm sitting at home, just like everyone else in the whole entire world. And, but like Emma just said a few minutes ago, it's good to get out for an hour or so a day. So I'll try to go take a walk or maybe go for a little run. Or my next door neighbor, he had a basketball goal and he let us basically have it. It's one of those little portable kind of things. His kids are older and moved out and stuff. So me and my son have been out there shooting some hoops, and I'm doing my best to, every time he goes up for a jump shot, then I just come in and just bam, Hakeem Olajuwon, like, not in my house. So I'm trying to start him early, trying to get the, trying to encourage him, let him know what life really looks like. No, but it's been good. It's been good. So
good deal. Yeah, we're doing our thing. Not a whole lot going on in that realm. We have been trying to get some outside time, and it's raining today, and we've got I guess another 3 days of rain forecast. So we'll be inside for a little bit, but
yeah, well, that's the way life goes right now, So it's but it could be worse. We're all sitting here hanging out on DevCentral Connects, so it's good to kind of be with everybody. Good times.
Yep.
Good times.
All right, so what do we have on tap today?
Well, I tell you what, for those that have ever heard about a little thing that we like to call encryption or SSL, or maybe more modern than that, TLS. We still say SSL around here sometimes, like profiles and all that, but it's all TLS. That's what today's show is all about. It's all TLS all the time. We're just going to encrypt the entire thing. So hopefully you brought your decryption keys. But I was gonna kind of set this up a little bit. We've got a couple of amazing guest speakers today. One is Rodrigo Albuquerque from the DevCentral team. He lives out in London area, and then we've also got the foremost expert on SSL certificates, Peter, Mr. Encryption Scheffler, and we'll have him on here in a few minutes after Rodrigo. But I wanted to kind of set the stage really quick. I was looking at this new fancy finagled website called Google, and apparently they have this encryption report, this transparency report is what they call it, and they basically analyze and and look at and count and all the different encrypted pages that come across their site, which of course are many pages. So what they have done is they not only have encrypted all of their properties. So if you've got a Gmail account or a YouTube account or, Google itself or whatever, then that is an encrypted experience almost completely across the board for Google. There's some Google Maps pages that are not quite fully encrypted. And then there's some Google News sites that are not fully encrypted yet. But for the most part, they're in the very high 90% of everything that Google produces is encrypted, right? And then they also look at the top 25 sites. I'm sorry, not the top 25, the top 100 non-Google sites that traffic flows across on the internet. And their statistics show that 96 out of 100 of those other non-Google top 100 sites, 96 out of 100 default to HTTPS, to the SSL TLS encryption, right? But all 100 of the 100 will work on HTTPS. So the point with all that is everything is moving toward encryption, right? So if you're on the internet today, you're using an encrypted channel, an encrypted experience in some way, shape, or form. And so the things that we're going to talk about today are extremely relevant and extremely timely. And so people need to understand, what does it take to make this encryption happen? And then more importantly, what are the parts and pieces of F5 that come into play here? And how can we look at that traffic if it's all encrypted? How can I make sure my certificates are up to date? How can we do all that stuff? So it's I think it's going to be a really exciting session today.
I think so too. And for everybody here watching, wondering what we do with your questions, both of these segments that we're doing today are a result of questions we got on the first show. And
right.
So don't be afraid to throw something out if you have questions. So we're going to jump into it here in a second. I did want to mention, we're pretty new at this, and so we're trying to find, the time that works best for you. And so, we have a 2-question survey on, what day of the week works best for you, what time of the day works best for you. If you want to, Peter's going to drop that in YouTube chat here in a second. and then you can go fill that out, and then we can kind of look at, if this isn't the best time for you guys to join us live, but you would like to be part of the live audience, we'll try some different time slots and see if that works out better for you guys. And so, as John was mentioning, our first guest today, Mr. Rodrigo Albuquerque, we're going to talk about SSL troubleshooting. And so this comes from a question we got in the first week about, hey, I've got SSL running, and I'm trying to pass the 301B exam, and I'm having trouble doing that because of the SSL profiles and the Wireshark and all of that stuff. So, we brought Mr. Wireshark himself, Rodrigo Albuquerque, in to share some of that goodness.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about what I used to do when I worked for engineering services at F5 when it comes to SSL troubleshooting. So I'm just going to show you firsthand what it looks like to troubleshoot some SSL issue. We're not going into troubleshooting an issue itself, which I'm just going to show you the process itself really quick. So can you see my screen? Yes, so I'm sharing. So that's the topology that I'm currently using. So I've got one big IP in the middle. I've got a client and I've got two backend servers. So my virtual server is 10.199.3.145. So basically that's the topology that we're going to use. And for the certificate keychain that is applied to the client SSL profile, I've just applied a default pass certificate and key, which is obviously just for the sake of testing, and that's it. So let me just let's jump on real quick to the big IP. So basically that's my big IP. I've got one virtual server here, as I said, and in this virtual server, I've got a profile applied, which is this one. It's a client SSL profile with the default key, and I actually excluded the DHE and Diffie-Hellman key ciphers because that's one of the things that I do when I started with troubleshooting, because we didn't have the capability of decrypting Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Now we do with iRules, which I'm going to show you as well. And the other thing that I used to do was to set, I think I can find it here, cache. Yeah, it's actually not set, but I used to set the cache size to 0 as well, because once you're trying to decrypt something to display on Wireshark, what happens is if it's not a full TLS handshake, then there's no way we're going to be able to decrypt it. So let me bring over my terminal window. Hopefully that's going to be big enough. Yeah.
While you're getting that set up, Rodrigo, can I ask you a question? What does moving your cache size down to 0? I mean, would you want to do that like full time on your profile, or would that be just in the temporary time where you're trying to do a little troubleshooting exercise?
So before we had other ways of decrypting a client traffic, setting the cache to 0 would effectively make the SSL. So it would effectively disable SSL session resumption. So SSL session resumption is after one session where you have the full TLS handshake, the big IP or the other side is going to store the SSL session in its cache locally. And then the next time we have another handshake, we're not going to exchange session keys again. We're going to reuse the previously negotiated session key. So if you happen to capture not the full handshake, but only the session that is being resumed, you're not going to get this is not going to get decrypted, because obviously we would need to see the full handshake to see the pre-master key so that the session can be decrypted on the big IP. That's the way it works, because we're not exchanging the keys, so we're not able to see it and decrypt it, even though we've got the private key.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now I'm going to do a TCP dump to show you guys. Oops, since it's gone, it's going to be back up here. So I'm going to go TCP dump. I'm going to show you real time a session. Actually, I'm going to present you a new way of that we introduced on version 15 of decrypting traffic on the big IP. So basically, this is a TCP dump syntax. So basically, we are capturing traffic on the TMM, which is our forwarding plane. We are making all the headers, F5 headers, available for us to visualize. And the P flag means that we're going to capture the flow that is specific to this IP address here. The new thing that we introduced on version 15 is the --F5 SSL or parameter. So basically what that's going to do is that's going to copy the master key to our SSL packet capture here, this one that we're actually doing this here. So I'm going to hit enter. You're going to see there is a warning here. Caution, just to mention that the master key is going to be copied to the capture. Then we're going to go to the client. This is my client. I'm going to do just a quick test.
And just to interrupt you real quick while you're getting that typed out, John, what is the big caution? They give you the caution kind of there in that warning, but what's the danger in doing that?
Yeah, well, so you're using. I know when you configured the cipher suites on the big IP, I know you said don't use Diffie-Hellman ephemeral, all that stuff. So you're effectively saying, hey, let's use RSA. So the key exchange, can have a master secret, a private key that can then be shared. And if you share that private key, that's the keys to the kingdom, as it were. You could take that and decrypt all of this stuff. So while it's really cool for troubleshooting, you would not want to just hand that out to anyone and everyone. I mean, that is the thing that is causing the encryption to be, secure. It's the thing that would allow you to decrypt. So you wouldn't want to just hand that out to anyone. That's why they're saying, hey, warning, warning.
Yeah. And be careful with how you store that capture.
Yeah.
And who you give access to.
Right.
Yeah, sure. So if I hit enter here, you're going to see that I issued an HTTP request. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's encrypted because it's HTTPS. And we're going to see that big IP capture 42 packets. I'm going to hit Control C here. So we already have that. Actually, previously, so we can just gain, we don't waste much time. I've already done I've already captured another packet capture before that one. So, but the thing that I want to show you is, for example, let me just jump into the capture, which is exactly the same as this one.
Yeah, because in that TCP line, right, the syntax there, you were writing the output of that TCP dump to
a
file. And then that file is what you're going to pull up in Wireshark so that you can see like what you just dumped, right?
Exactly.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So let me make it like slightly bigger for you guys to see it. Right. So we can see here, actually that's not encrypted. So, but I'm going to show you, what I want to show you is that the F5 trailer protocol. And actually that's something that I need to show you on the go here. If you click on Analyze and Enabled Protocols, you can type in, that's really small, but I'm typing in F5, and you can see here F5 TLS, right? Normally that would be unchecked. So you need to make sure that it's checked.
Yeah.
So you can see the F5 Ethernet trailer protocol. So if we expand that, we're going to see one header here called F5 TLS, and that's the sweet spot here, because if we move through some packets, let me just reach a good one.
Yeah, there's your,
but there is one that has got all of them, I guess. No, none of them has all of them. So basically, we have client random, server random. So what we're going to care here is about client random, and also there is one that is the master key here. So the master key. Yeah, so that's the thing that is going to make us decrypt the packet capture. So what you can do here is you can right click on it, you can click copy and then value. And then you copy the master key and then you go here, you paste it. I'll show you where you're going to paste it. You copy also you also copy the client random, the value. And then what you're going to do here is, I actually have it here so I can show you so we don't waste much time. It's actually, I think it's SSL provider.tms. Yeah. So what you do is you type in client random just like this, and then you first paste the client random, and then you paste the master key. And actually, you're going to do this for both, because we had two connections here, right? So let me show you. We had the first connection, which is that's the client side, and then the server side. So we have two connections. So if we want to decrypt both, you want to get the value from the master key from both connections. So what we're going to do here is we go to Wireshark, we go to preferences. That's going to be fairly similar on Windows or Linux. So you go to protocols, you expand protocol, and you look for TLS.
That's a lot of protocols, Rodrigo.
Yes.
Wireshark does them all, man. Yeah. Okay.
So we've got pre-master secret log file name. You click on browse. And then once you get there, you're going to load that file, SSL provider, where is it? Which file was that for? It was SSL provider.tms, I guess. Yeah. So it should be, Jesus, where is it? Oh, over here. So when I do this and I click OK, you're going to see the green bit here. That's the decrypted thing. So basically everything that is green is the HTTP traffic. So if you click on the HTTP traffic, you're going to see my head request, the headers, and we actually see that it's decrypted because we have the TLS layer just above. So we have HTTP over TLS. Yeah. So that's pretty sweet. So my point here is that F5 made it really easy. So before, the only thing you have to do is to add that parameter that I showed you, minus F5 SSL to your capture. The master key and the client random will be copied to the packet capture itself, and you won't need to ask anybody to, like John said, which is dangerous. Sometimes we would need to copy a private key to somewhere else to try to decrypt it, that kind of thing. You don't need that. And the other thing that is really cool, I can show you guys if we still have time. I can just show you. I don't need to show you. It's not going to take that much long, but I'm going to show you real quick here. If you go to the virtual
you got about
server,
5 minutes left.
Yeah, so it's cool.
About 5 minutes
really
left.
Cool. Yeah. So on resources so that's the virtual server that I'm running here. There is an I rule called TLS decryption. So what the I rule does is, there is something that I didn't show you when I took that capture. Actually, I need to show you right now, which is real nice. So if I bring that over here, these are the big IP logs from that machine. And if you see here, the master key actually is on the TMS. Where is it? Master key. Yeah. So here's the master key. It's on TMM logs. LTM logs. So we can. That's another option. We can also use iRules to display the master key, so we can copy that to a file, and then we can decrypt the file. So that's the first thing that I used to do when I that's the thing that I used to do when I used to troubleshoot issues with our customers. So most of the issues, they were related to the SSL handshake. Like I'd say 99% was because the SSL handshake failed, or some SSL handshake failed, like intermittent, and we need to work out what was happening. And every time we would need to take a packet capture to see what's going on, because when SSL fails, there's usually a kind of message called alert, and that message is going to give us a clue so we can understand what really was the reason why it failed. So that's pretty much it. I just want to show you one quick thing in terms of troubleshooting, real quick, like literally a couple of seconds. So if we go to the SSL profile, there is something really interesting here called generic alert. So it's enabled by default because that's actually a protection. We don't want an attacker to know that if they are able to sniff our traffic, we don't want to know what's the reason why there is a handshake failure. But actually, if we're troubleshooting something, you want to disable this, because this is going to tell us exactly why the SSL handshake fails. Like, is it because of an unknown CA that we don't recognize or anything like that? So so that's roughly it. So I want to show you that new feature, the --F5 SSL parameter on TCP dump.
I think it's
Rodrigo, real quick. Anis is looking for. Can you please show how the file looks like? And I'm assuming I've asked, but I assume that's the key, your client random, format for the client random and master key.
Yeah, got it. Yes, I can do that. So that's it. So you just type client_random, and then this is the client random value from the Wireshark capture, and this is the master secret value. You just paste it one after the other. Actually, yeah. So I pasted it one after the other. So
okay,
yeah, that's how it looks like. And if we go to the trailer, you just need to look for it here, like client random, which is here.
Mm-hmm.
Copy it, and the master key as well. Oops. Yeah. Master key should be here. Yeah. Master.
We got another question for that. Flag is very handy. That will make it into my toolbox. That was not actually the question, but it scrolled right as I clicked.
Oh.
The question from Daniel was, in what version was generic alert introduced?
I can't remember, but that was really early, because as far as I'm aware, I can't remember not having that generic alert option at all. So
you can never remember a time in your life, Rodrigo, where you did not have a generic alert available.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
So hopefully Daniel's got that, and I don't know what version he's on, but hopefully it's there.
All right. Well, I'm going to pull your screen off.
Sorry.
Yep.
Real quick, I'm going to pull your screen off, and I'm going to bring Chef in just a little bit early, because we have a few questions I thought maybe we could work through. And then we'll move into to Chef's commentary. First of all, Peter Scheffler, welcome. We'll give you like a full, awesome introduction here in a second. But I wanted to go back to the beginning of the session. We got a question from Sajith. Connection error SSL_HS_RX. Hello. Unsupported version 70. How to fix this issue? vServer is passed through.
Yeah, so basic. Oh, that's ahead. Not for me, no?
That's for anybody. Yeah, that's
right. So when I had that issue, when I used to troubleshoot that, I used to obviously request a packet capture, but that usually means that you're negotiating a TLS version that one of the sides doesn't really like or doesn't support. There may be bugs as well. So basically, let me. Oh no, I can't. Can I share my screen again? No, or is it? We don't.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you the handshake, the SSL handshake here, real quick. So if we go to the SSL handshake, we see in the client hello. I will show you the TLS layer. So we can see something really weird here, right? We see the TLS record layer, which shows us TLS 1.0. And then we see the handshake protocol client hello, which is TLS 1.2. So basically, that's the way the client signals to the server which versions it supports. So what we're saying here, my client is telling Big IP that it supports TLS version 1.0, 1.2, and 1.2. Sorry, 1.1 and 1.2. Mm-hmm. So what happens is sometimes there was a bug, that was an old bug on Big IP, where we would just send TLS 1.2 over here and then TLS 1.2 here. And some servers, that was on the server SSL side, some servers, at that time, they didn't support TLS 1.2. And that's exactly where I saw the error, where the server said, well, I'm sorry, we don't support that TLS version. And yeah, so basically that's it.
Okay. Thank you. And we also had a question on HTTPS monitoring between an Ixia and F5 LTM is failing due to either a handshake failure or LTM not liking Ixia certificate. Any suggestions on how to make it work?
Yeah, I definitely would want to see a packet capture, because probably something to do with, again, it could be a handshake. It could be a protocol mismatch that maybe some of the, without a packet capture, I'm not sure exactly what the problem would be, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be good. Open a question on DevCentral and submit, Ixia inversion and LTM inversion, because I know that in later versions of LTM, there's some protocols by default with the default SSL client SSL profile that it doesn't support, like SSL 2 or anymore. And so, you'll open a question and you should get help pretty quickly on that, Pranay. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, so I think we have some more questions related to certificates, or at least one more in here earlier that we'll get to with you, Chef. Rodrigo, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you're ready to get to your evening there in the UK. You're already late, I guess early evening, but post work day. So thanks for joining us, man. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Rodrigo. Always a pleasure, my man.
My pleasure.
All right, take care. And so, Chef, we've already brought you in, so we'll post introduce. Is that even a thing? But Peter Scheffler's on our F5 team, and you're in sales, and he has volunteered to join us to talk about certificates today. And we have certificates that are supported on LTM. So from a management perspective, you can manage them on Big IP, you can manage them on Big IQ, and but not just where they're supported, but what types of certificates are supported, the packaging, all that. We've gotten lots of questions from that in earlier episodes, and so we brought in the expert to talk to us about all things SSL certificates. So Peter, welcome.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. So I guess when we sort of went through the thought process for what we would talk about today, there are a lot of questions. And interestingly enough, I just finished a discussion with a customer not even an hour ago, or maybe just an hour ago, on this exact topic, completely unrelated to the fact that this was coming up here. And it's a point that comes up a lot. Customers are asking, there's been a lot of change in a certificate technology over the last little while with the introduction of, ECC over the last 4 or 5 years now, and the adoption of that. Really, obviously mobile has driven that, because the old world of having big chunks of hardware to do the decryption on the client side, is expensive, eats a lot of battery. So people have been, moving towards, ECC and away from, from the RSA world, or maybe the DSA technology as well. And And then a lot of our customers are going through certificate glut. The average organization, has as many as 17,000. An average organization in the United States has about 17,000 different certificates, which is a mind-blowing number.
17,000, Chef. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've ever counted that high in my whole life. That's crazy.
I wouldn't want to count that high.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy.
And Chef, you have fans.
Oh,
yeah.
I do have.
If you can see on, yeah. Daryl and Boo, man, those guys are awesome.
Check out their channel as well. It's pretty good. So,
yeah.
No, but it's like, and the conversation that I had with the customer or just before was really on how to manage this. So they were looking at using an HSM. So if you're not familiar with an HSM, it's a hardware device that stores the keys, right? So the keys are generated on the HSM, and then you don't pull them off of there. So it's an encryption technology so that your keys are secure. And one of our challenges today is just making sure those are secure. But then we have to, distribute them all over different devices, and we have to maintain them. And how do you automate that, and how do you manage that? So a lot of the time that we've been spending over the last few years is to kill the F5 UI. I used to have a friend, or I still have a friend, but I used to work with a friend, and he was a documentation guy, and his whole mantra in life was to get himself out of a job because he thought if a UI needs documentation, then it wasn't designed properly. And so now we're moving to the next step where we want to get away from having a UI completely, and we want to automate things so it's easy. So what we've been able to do now is automate a lot of the certificate management. So we now have a protocol called ACME. So it's actually a standard. So ACME 2 came out recently, and it's a standard that allows us to issue or issue certificate requests. So that's hey, I'd like a certificate. Here's my certificate. Can you go validate it for me? And then get a trust relationship built automatically for that. And so the ACME protocol is something that's really making this much easier for us to scale, so that we don't have 9 FTEs worrying about these 17,000 certificates that have to be renewed all the time. And the other problems that we're seeing now is, if you're familiar, Apple just came out with a new standard saying they will stop allowing Apple devices to talk to certificates that are 13 months, that have a lifetime longer than 13 months.
Wow.
So yeah, like that even makes it harder because I don't know if you guys remember, but remember when we had 10-year certs on our big device certificates, right? I mean, those days are gone. Those are crazy long numbers, because once that certificate gets out, it's always out, right? Even if we have a certificate revocation list or we're validating the certificates, there's a chance that the certificates aren't validated. So we want to lock those down as much as we can. And as customers are adopting, go ahead. Yeah. Chef,
if I could just kind of wrapping my mind around this whole thing, you mentioned that there's 17,000 on average in these different organizations, which again is just, I'm still trying to figure out what kind of number that is. It's crazy huge. But then when you add on to a layer of that, if I'm thinking about this correctly, I've got 17,000, let's say I've got to deal with, but now if they expire more than 13 months from now, it's a problem with all these new Apple devices or whatnot. So that may be kind of the way the world's moving. So now not only do I have to handle 17,000 of them, I gotta like turn these things over super quick, right? That's a huge thing. What a headache, man.
Well, Google's going to make it worse for you because they're going to force 90 days.
90 days. 90 days. Thank you, Google. Yeah, and that's the way the world's moving. Because some people would say, well, hey, forget it, man. I'm not going to play ball. I'm just going to do my own thing. And it's like, you can't. You've got to, when the world moves that way, you got to just move with it, Yeah. So this is going to be possible. So there's no way to do it other than automating. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think even, we can thank Google for that on the browser side, but I think Google can thank, and they're just adjusting to, the Let's Encrypt explosion. Right, when Let's Encrypt came out with the automated process, which you could do either via HTTP or DNS to validate your domain and your URLs, and push those. I mean, their max was 90 days, and so that people adjusted to that, and they built in the automation. And I use Let's Encrypt in a couple of my personal projects, and it just works, and it's fantastic. And so everybody adjusted to that pretty quickly, and maybe not the enterprise, but certainly all the small potatoes out there that hey, this is an awesome service, and it's free, and I want to buy to that. And so Google adjusts to that, and then everybody adjusts to Google, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I think what we want to do in for this is a DevCentral conversation, so we definitely want to drill down on what we can do on the big IP side, and what we've been able to do is in some of our later releases, we're now we use the Acme protocol as a means to go and generate certificate and validate certificates for the device. So you can automate that. So you can get away from having to generate and manually load certificates. The one customer I was talking to this week, they're like, okay, our developers go develop an application, they test, dev it, they move it into a staging environment, and they deliver a PFX file to us, and it's like you can see the zip drive or the USB drive moving from hand to hand in this whole process. You're like, wow, okay, so we've got the whole development process automated, but now we have to put keys in there. Oh, I'll just put my key in my GitHub repo. Oh, wait! What did I just say? There be dragons, right? That's not going to be something that we want anybody to go to. So we need a way to automate that. And again, so being able to do this through an automation process, and we can do that with BigIQ, and BigIQ has the ability to warn us before certificates expire. So we can even have if we want to get a UI component to that, we can see that. Also, we can then automate the renewal of that. So if you use Komodo, or I keep wanting to call it Gizmodo, but it's Komodo or DigiCert, right. Then you can actually use our management. So we have a certificate order management capability now in 15.0 and newer, and that we actually can use to use the Acme protocol to just automatically reissue that cert. So you can type in how many days do I want that certificate to be. So I want it to be 90 days or 85 days or whatever, and then that certificate can be renewed, and the profile, the SSL profile, updated automatically. And I think we need to get there, because at the crazy cadence that we're seeing now, it's not gonna be possible. And then we have some integrations with other tools too. So there's Venafi, which is a certificate management solution. So we've got some business development with them. So you can use BigIQ to talk to Venafi. So Venafi would be the interim certificate issuing and device. And the advantage there is now you don't need to worry about what the NCA is. You can use your own CA. You can use whatever CAs are supported by Venafi, and you get the wealth of that. And then BigIQ can push that to all your different data centers, and you can maintain that. So now, what you used to have a bunch of people reissuing certs probably on an annual basis, like that's probably what we were looking at 4 or 5 years ago. Now we can have this automated process, and there's several steps in the chain that we have to worry about, but that makes life significantly easier.
Yeah.
So from a packaging perspective for certifications, we do have a question from Daniel on does Microsoft PKI support Acme?
Microsoft has its own implementation. I don't know if I saw Microsoft CA as supporting Acme now. I'd be surprised if they wouldn't be in the not too distant future. Acme 2 was just ratified late 2018, so it could be an issue that maybe it's coming. But I'm literally just throwing words out here. I'm not sure. And I know Dan pretty well, so maybe I'll reach out to him and give him an answer.
Nice. Hey, so I guess, Chef, from a big picture perspective, I'm kind of putting myself in the shoes of the person who's got to manage these 17,000 certificates. They're going to be rolling over every 90 days, so it's just it's nonstop kind of deal. And I would just want to hit the big fat easy button that's just like boom, automate the whole shooting match, right? Just the whole deal is completely that. So is it fair to say, I guess, from a big picture perspective, is it fair to say that we're not quite there yet, where you can just kind of Ronco 2000, set it and forget it? But so we're not quite to that point yet, but we have made steps and we're headed that direction. Where there are certain things that are automated, but it's not like the entire game. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, your Ronco, it slices and dices, but it doesn't put it in the pot. Maybe
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Right. You still need to put it into the oven, and then you can forget it, right, or that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I think the problem with this infrastructure, with the challenge that we're seeing now, is we have so many things in this chain, and previously everything was proprietary. I mean, we really didn't have a means to automate anything prior to Acme. It was a lot of hand coding, and Jason, I see you've got you've got something on DevCentral where I think you got an Acme integration with a big IP. It's that's probably a year or two old or something like that. So we're just now to that point where we can build these things together, but we're not. I don't know if the maturity of all the pieces are there yet for us to get there, and I sense the frustration of people when I tell them this, because they're like, I thought you had the full answer, and the full answer also goes back to a lot of layer 8 issues too. Right. How the certificates are managed inside of a company is very different. You might have the smaller companies, maybe with, a couple hundred people in them, where you have one person or a small group of people that manage enough of all the infrastructure pieces that it's automatable because they know all the different pieces. But once you get beyond that, we now have different teams that are worried about that. We have governance and compliance issues that come in because the certificates are essentially, IP of the company. Right. And you need to lock that down. And so there are operational hurdles in there because they're operational hurdles. They actually need to be in there because of the GNC requirements. So sometimes the automation becomes a challenge. So, and I think what we're seeing right now is some of the larger organizations getting through that, but I don't know if we've got all the answers. But like I said, we have some of the pieces, and I think what we've been able to do is make some of the API, and AS3 supports this too, so we don't have to worry. When I talk API, I'm using API and AS3 interchangeably in those concepts. The APIs are there, but we also have the declarative model, so you don't need to know all of the how to cook it and understand how to use the Ronco knife or anything like that.
Just give me a chicken. Just give me a chicken. Right.
Specific to AS3, I think that for those of us network background people who are used to clicking all the nerd knobs individually and building out services, something like AS3 seems a little mystical and scary, and because it's abstracted and we like to know all the nuances of how the thing works and how it's configured. And when it comes to managing search, you talk back to that solution that I built with Let's Encrypt using the Acme 1.0 protocol, which I probably need to update, but it is more brittle, right? Because it's got to go through all these different individual iterative steps with the iControl API. And even once you get the certs up there, you have the, you bang your head against the wall if you're not using transactions, because you can't update the cert without the key. You can't update the key without the cert, but they both have to be updated at the same time if those SSL profiles are already attached to virtual servers. And so, if you're just getting started out and you're trying to figure out, well, it works in the GUI, why can't I do that with the automation tools? there's a lot of ways that you bang your head against the wall, and using something like AS3 where you're just putting all your data into a blob of JSON and you click the easy button and then it's there and everything's updated, and the AS3 application solves all that for you. Yeah. And it's supported. Whereas if you're doing your own thing, that's a little less supported.
And I wanted to add as well, Chef, that I know when you talk about we are not quite there, and there's so many moving parts and pieces to this whole discussion of just TLS encryption, certificate management, all that stuff. It's a very complex thing to get your arms really wrapped around. Anyway, when you say we, you're not specifically necessarily talking about F5. It's more we like the security industry in general, right? It's not like F5's lagging behind in what we're doing. It's the whole industry needs to kind of really move forward in this. Right. Yeah. Capital.
The capital we, not the F5 we.
Right.
Like I say, it's we, because I think F5 is we have, again, like a lot of the other OEMs out there, we have the infrastructure, and we have, and whether it's AS3 that understands how we do our stuff, or APIs which allow the people who have code behind them and want to type stuff, that give us the ability to do that. Those building blocks and the Legos are there, but we still have to solve the layer 8 problem, and I think that's where the industry is today. Like I don't know if we have all the answers, and then we have what's the next thing we're going to have to worry about in encryption, and people are going to bring up quantum and all those other things, and those are all crazy long-term things. But I think we just need to solve this operational problem when like I said, this customer I was talking to, a reasonably sized financial organization, not a top 100 company, but they have a couple hundred 150, 200 VIPs, virtual servers that they need to maintain, each with their own certificate, because they don't want to use wildcard certs. And please, if you're using wildcard certs, get away from wildcard certs. But so they're making the good choices, but the good choices drive operational challenges that they need to think about too. And so when you think about that, okay, if I got 150 VIPs, if I have 150 VIPs, do I have 150 staging and prod and pre-prod? So does that turn into 450 VIPs certificates that I need to manage right there? And then what's my back? What certificates do I have in the back? Do I just have a longer lived self-signed cert, or a cert that's signed by my organization for those? So I mean, that's typically what I would suggest people do. That alleviates some of the challenges. They might have you might have an acquisition which now suddenly grows your number of certificates, or maybe the number of domain names you require. So maybe do you go to a domain cert or something like that, where you can have multiple domains in it. So there's a bunch of things that you can think through, but those are all things that technology doesn't solve. Those are things that we need to solve, and I think the building blocks are here, and I think we're making that available to people. But I think what we need to do is figure out how to make that work inside the operations side.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, because that's it's a critical part of the whole equation. Is that what you just described? So yeah, I really appreciate that.
I'm not sure we really do a whole lot of roadmap live, and so. I'll throw your question up here. Maybe Sheffy knows, but we might have to get back to you, or your sales team get back to you on that. But so I don't know if you had any insight there.
So we do have some FIPS roadmap stuff for sure. So FIPS is we're using this term here as a industry standard, a U.S. government standard for definition of how a certificate is maintained. So these are FIPS 140-2 boxes, these 10350s. So those boxes are, so we're not upgrading that box, but we are making other boxes available. And if you want to reach out to us, or we can get back to you with the exact comparable model that would be in, say, our I series, and that does bring up some technology questions too. ECC versus RSA certificates, and I mentioned that earlier. It's nice to have ECC certificates because they work really well on mobile devices and they're battery friendly. But then there's challenges because traditionally we all worked with RSA offloaded cards. So previous our boxes, the 10350 in that generation of technology, we had Cavium cards in there that did our SSL offload. Those are RSA SSL offload, not ECC offload. So some of those boxes, as you move to ECC ciphers, that you have a performance change to think about too. So so some of the boxes don't do ECC offload. It's going to be a challenge for those boxes as they scale. But again, if you're looking at, say, a modern virtual appliance, so your hypervisor, probably anything that's within the last 3 or 4 years, those chipsets, those Intel chipsets, actually are optimized for doing ECC nicely. So there are things that you can do there too. But the FIPS question is, again, that's an HSM, so that's a hardware security module that actually has the key stored on it. On the 10350, if you actually open the case, the keys are broken, burned. Actually, the chips are physically burned in them, so they're shut down. So that's a protection technology for the certificates. It's not how the certificates are generated; that they are traditionally generated on the box, but there's no way to get the certificate off that box. So that's a way to lock it down. So I know I didn't necessarily completely address the question, but hopefully I talked enough to make it sound like I said something.
I guess a question for Rodrigo, for me then, with him already being gone, is that for keys stored in the HSM, if you use the -F5 SSL flag in your capture, does that work or not?
Yeah.
You're getting the ephemeral key at that point, right? So that's the key that would break that allow that traffic to be decrypted. So I don't think that's the hardware key. I think that's just the actual handshake key. But I could be wrong. I'd have to look. So I think you're still going to get that.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like Mission Impossible or Inspector Gadget when you talked about cracking open the case and stuff starts blowing up, burning on itself. So it's awesome, man.
And then also we got a question from Daniel. Why haven't more major CAs adopted the ACME protocol?
So there are several that have adopted it. So I actually had the Wikipedia open, and so I'll look smart, but I'll be honest. So there's Let's Encrypt, Bypass, DigiCert, Entrust, Global Sign, Venafi, Sectio, which is semantic, Prime Key, which I'm not familiar with, and SSL.com. They all support ACME. So if you want to go get a certificate from them, you can use the ACME2 protocol to talk to them. So that's possibly helpful. So maybe I answer your question there.
Yeah.
All right. We have some more questions from Sajid. Hey, with this one, why don't you send me details in an email? You can just hit j.rom@f5.com or just send it to devcentral@f5.com, and I'll take that offline with you because that's probably a deeper conversation that we have time for here. If you want to upload a quick view to iHealth and send me your quick health ID, I'll see if I can help with that. Or get a case open with support as well, because they'll definitely be able to dig in and help you figure that out. But I can do some preliminary analysis, but I'll just need more details for that. And then we've got, thank you, big fan.
Sushant Joshi.
I appreciate that.
Hey, all I would say to Sushant is join the club, man. We're all big Jason fans.
And Sheffy's got a lot of fans on here. We got Daniel. We put this up and then we had another one earlier. Yeah.
Yep.
So
big fans, big fan. We got big names on today. This is big. It's a great. It's a great session. Great connection.
Okay. Well, we're at time, so I don't want to keep everybody, and I think we're kind of wrapped up with our cert discussion. If anybody has more certificate questions that they want to run by us or they want to run by Sheffy, get them to us, and we'll address those offline. Oh, there we go. There it is again. Canadian celebrity. And great session, guys. Absolutely. Let's be neutral. All right. So yeah, we won't have any Canadian, U.S. wars today, hopefully.
Right.
And
save those for another time.
And I'm going to post it in the chat again real quick if you guys want to take a quick two question survey just to let us know best time and day of the week that would work for you. We can kind of move this around and maybe we'll do a couple different times and we'll alternate weeks or whatever. And when is the next session? Hey, next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, 2:30 Central next Thursday. And we're going to talk about all things certification. So we got Dr. Ken and Heidi themselves are coming to talk about the certification program. And then we have a celebrity guest joining us who is F5 certified and has shared his journey in DevCentral articles. So, and he's an MVP. So, we'll have a great conversation on our certification journey next Thursday. And so thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next Thursday.
All right. Thanks, Chef. Thanks to everybody, man. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, guys.